Well, let me say good evening to you. It is now up and running, and we're grateful to God for another privilege to be able to be here with you on this evening. Um, I'm going to do a little something here to try to make this a little bit better, and we'll be ready to roll. I pray that you have enjoyed a very good day, a very prosperous day. That I'm started now. I'll get them when I get done. I'll get them. And I pray that all is well with you and yours, and that you continue to protect yourselves and to be very, very cautious and careful in these times, in these moments, in the time when the virus seems to be growing again and all of that. Hey, Erica, how are you? I see you. Michelle, how are you this evening? Cynthia, I see you. Carletta, I see that you are on as well. Grateful, grateful to see all of you. Terry A. Um, Glad that everything is falling in line for you as much as it possibly can, and that God continues to bless. Lisa, I see you. Elder Carter, good to see you this evening. Let me see who else we got on here. Um, okay, Jaleesa, I see you're watching. I also want to give a shout out to those who are on YouTube who are watching, and those who are on the website who are watching. Nancy, I see you. Grateful to God for each and every one of you. I'm going to start in about 4 minutes, and my wife is grabbing some stuff that she shouldn't be grabbing because I guess she's okay. She's cool. I got some boxes that are coming, and I want to make sure all is well. Janetta, I just want to make sure that everything is everything, and that we will be able to move forward. I just want to make sure she's not picking up some stuff that I said that I would do a little bit later. Again, let me share with you that it is nice right now. It has cooled off. I'm under the umbrella out in the backyard, and just enjoying a good evening. Um, I'll wait just a couple of minutes for a few more people. Minister Fali, how are you? Patrick, good to see you this evening. John, good to see you as well. Make sure you share. Make sure you share so you can get as many people on as you possibly can. Thea, grateful to see you. Sean, my partner, good to have you with us on tonight. Minister Marcia, good seeing you. Um, if someone on the website and YouTube could give me a shout out to make sure that everything is up and running, I'd appreciate that. Pastor Brown, good to see you this evening. Katrina, Carolyn Williams, Maria, good to have those of you who are coming on. I got 2 minutes before I will begin the lesson. I always try to come on a little bit earlier to give people an opportunity to get on so I can give out some shout outs and let everybody know that I appreciate the time that you spend. Lady Harrison, she's on. Good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you. Michael Beverly, good to see you. Um, Good Dayton. Okay. There are news feeds that are coming in as we prepare for our Bible study for tonight. Dayton has now mandated masks. I need to talk about this, Gladys and Cora, for just a second. I am um, D. Debbie Rainbow. Good to see you. I'm troubled. I was troubled when this began. John, good to see you. I'm still troubled when the pandemic started. I'm still troubled, and the reason that I am is because there are some lessons that are still not learned. Unfortunately. Hey, Denise, how are you? Vanessa, good to see you this evening. There are some lessons that are still not learned. And the amazing thing about this, Minister Rhonda and Tom and Robin, um, I don't understand. I don't understand how people who claim to know the Lord, claim religious. Okay, YouTube is on. Okay, thank you so much, Carlette. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you, Katrina. I appreciate that. Sometimes it does and does what it needs to do. Cecile, I'm really praying for you guys in Texas. Um, that's all I can say. Sheila, good to see you. Dr. Baber, good to have you on. Catherine, good to see you this evening. And we don't get it. We just don't get it. It's like you, you, they want to say that the government is taking away their freedom, that the government is trying to control their lives, that the government this and the government that and the government the other. And the thing that just bothers me, and it just aches in my spirit, is the fact that it just might be the government that has the process, Cecile, and Linda, to save your life. Do you understand? And I'm gonna get into the lesson, but I'm this is just like in my spirit. Do you understand how many people have died in the past 3.5 months? Do you understand? Thank you, Katrina. For Do you understand how how many people have died who, for the most part, were not able to have their loved ones with them to hold their hand to go through that. Hey, Sandra, how are you? Raymond and Vernice, good to see you. Hey, Cynthia and Deacon Thomas, good to have you with us. Dion, good to have you there. They don't comprehend, and they think that somebody's trying to control their lives. They think that somebody wants to take their liberties away from them and all of this other craziness. Wow. Hey, Daryl, how are you? Pastor Stanford, how you doing? And people are dying needlessly at the hands of ignorance. I want to talk about on tonight, Sean. I want to talk about, do we really know him? Do we? There has to be some level of obedience that exists when you claim to know who Jesus is. There cannot be these moments when you are renegades and nobody can tell me what to do and nobody can do anything unless this is what I want to do, James. And in the midst of all of this, we fail to understand, Laverne, that the problem exists in the fact that as Christians, character is supposed to follow what you claim to be. I'm looking at the and I'm dealing. This is a part of the lesson. Hey, Eric, how are you this evening? Katrina Williams, good to see you from Florida. Praying for Cecile in Texas, and praying for Katrina in Florida, because when I tell you They are seeing people die at an unbelievable rate in those states. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on with these people, but for whatever reason, Myrna, they just believe that they know everything. They're in control of everything, and what they fail to understand. Can I share something with you, so you can understand something that I understand? The virus is in control. The virus is in control due to the fact that whatever it has dictated to do, we are enabling it in the means of us calling ourselves being able to do whatever we want to do. And so the Bible in our lesson, Valerie, for tonight, when it talks about experiencing God, hey, Jeanette, when you talk about experiencing God, how do you experience God and not walk in obedience with him? How is it, Minister Faye, Jan Jackson, how do you say you love God, and there is yet still this renegade, rebellious spirit that exists within you? Because we get mad at people who get blessed. We get mad at people who overcome. We get upset with people in the midst of all of this. And Carla, here's the thing that we must recognize and understand, Walina. If, Lavernon, we really love the Lord, then there ought to be some evidence which is beyond shouting, and I'm not negating that, which is beyond dancing and prancing, and there must be some evidence in your life. We talk about some of the people that we see in the Bible, and we become jealous and envious of them in the midst of that, because why isn't God doing this for me, and why isn't God accomplishing this for me? Why isn't God performing this for me? Dee, good to see you this evening. Why isn't Jacqueline? Why isn't God? Why isn't God? Why isn't God? And could it be, Lisa, that the sticking point is maybe the reason that some things are not happening in your life the way you really want to? Hey, Tyrone, how are you, sir? Darlene, good to see you this evening. May not have anything to do with God. It may have more to do with our own behavior. And please share if you don't mind on tonight, so we can make sure that we get this out to as many people as we possibly can. You too will be blessed when God does special God-sized things in and through you, but he will never accomplish a supernatural move of himself through you until he can trust you to allow him to work through you. And I need y'all to catch that if you don't catch anything else, because the first thing that we have to do, Minister Sarah, is we have to learn how to control our own egos. We have to learn how to control our own notions. We have to learn how to keep under control our own ambitions. And in the midst of all of that, we need to see that when you see God do a magnificent supernatural move of himself in your life, it is not designed so you can it show off, but it's designed for people to see, Juanita, that God is really operating in and through you, Barbara. This is what you got to remember. Now I need to say something else, because in the midst of this, you should brag on what God has done for you, but you cannot take credit for him doing it. You must acknowledge that God did it through me, and God used me to be able to impact somebody else's life, which means what? I'm not braggadocious about it, Sharon. I'm not sitting up there talking about, look at me, and I'm all of it. I'm nothing. My righteousness in the sight of God is a filthy rag. And what we fail to understand in the midst of that is that whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm accomplishing, whatever places that I find myself in, it is only because God has determined that I've been faithful enough, that I've released a lot of self-centeredness in my life, to the point that I recognize clearly that in him I live, move, and have my being. I need somebody to really catch that so you can understand where I'm coming from, okay? And so when you begin to do these things, you will know him in a way that brings joy in your life, because you'll understand quite clearly that you are really experiencing God. Let me tell you one of the things that really just motivates me and really moves me a lot of times in the lives of people is when the Lord allows me to intervene and to interact and to be a part of someone's life who has gone through changes, gone through issues, have been basically thrown to the curve. Family members have said they weren't going to be anything. They've been raised in intimidation. They've been raised in an environment where there is no actual godly influence taking place in their life. They have determined that they are not worth anything. No one wants to be bothered with them, and no one seems to care anything about them. And the Lord allows me to be able to impact their lives individually. And in the midst of that individual impact, all of a sudden, when you see quite clearly that they begin to evolve and recognize that while others have said they are worthless, Jesus does not say that. Because, and this is the thing that we need to understand, Deacon Thomas, because too many people aren't really catching this, is that it doesn't matter what the opinion of other people are. It doesn't matter what people say. We all have insecurities. We all have flaws. We all have inconsistencies. None of us were raised in a perfect environment. None of us raised our children in perfect environments. There are always mistakes and missteps that take place. There are times when we say things we wish we hadn't said. We did things that we wish we hadn't done. All of these other things are happening in our lives. And yet still, in the midst of that, God privileges us to be able to impact other people's lives. I'm going to tell you where I'm at right now. And I hope that you catch this, and I hope that you embrace this. If you don't embrace anything else, it's not about the big crowd. It's not about the grandiose moments. It's not about having a stage and all of these people are hanging on your every word. It is the one-on-one individual encounters with people that should just charge your battery. You should just explode in praise and glory when God permits you to touch the life of one person and impact them to the point that they begin to walk by faith and not by sight, and that you understand that there is a particular period of time when you release them from being under your wing, because now they know how to fly. LaVon, I hope you're catching where I'm coming from. When people realize and understand that in Him they live, move, and have their being. Not now. There's a period of time when yes, they attach themselves to you, but you have to make sure they don't become too clingy. They really need you to lead and guide and to help them. But then in the midst of that, it's just like when the eagle stirs its nest. There comes those times when you have to prod and push and say, the Lord has used me. Get this. I hope you can get this. I hope you can comprehend this. You've got to know that what you are doing is for a season. Did you catch that? I pray that you caught that, because too many people don't know, Linda, when seasons change. And so here's the problem, Pastor Early, that can happen in people's lives. We no longer become the conduits that help them to become what God wants them and have created them to be. All of a sudden, we garner within ourselves that now they must become what we say they should be. And you got to get that, because there's a time, Marilyn, when you are in somebody's life only for a while. You work through things only for a while so that you can help them to discover who is operating in and through them, because it takes time to get past the negativity. It takes time to get past those moments when people have talked about about you and talked you down and have not actually poured into you. And even in the church is notorious at destroying people's character rather than building them up. And so in the midst of that, you got to help them work through it. Here's another thing you got to help them to understand, that the major work of ministry is not inside the building, but it is through those encounters, it's through those one-on-ones, it's through that time when we sit down and we talk and they pour out all of the pain and suffering that's in them, and you pour into them so they can understand that in Him they are fearfully and wonderfully made. And irregardless of the other things that people have said, in the midst of them is the God of the universe who wants to transform and transcend their lives so that, now are y'all ready for this? Are you ready for this? So that when their turn comes to pour into somebody, they are not reluctant, they are not hesitant, but here's what they do. They begin to move in what God has called them to do because you did the same thing for them. Can you imagine the multiplicity factor that could take place if each saint would pour into somebody, take time to work with somebody, get in the midst of their lives and show them, irregardless of where they came from, whether they were adopted, whether they were abandoned, or whatever the case may be? Because, you know, I deal with people sometimes who feel like nobody loves me, nobody cares. But what you have to understand, Danielle, is that in the midst of all of that abandonment, God sent surrogates that you didn't pay any attention to. Why? Because the pain of what you were going through was so immense, you could not even see what God was doing. And so in the midst of this is what we got to do. If you are obedient, God will accomplish remarkable things through your life. You'll want to declare the wonderful deeds of the Lord, but you will need to be careful that any testimony about what God does gives glory to Him. You never, ever, ever, never, ever, 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 never can take credit for what the Lord has done. You can never exalt yourself or take the place of what God is doing in and through you, because I need to put a little footnote in here, and I need us to catch this if we don't catch anything else. He can also remove you. Listen, Levita, here's what many people don't understand. Because your work is seasonal, God can shorten your season so somebody else can pour into the person that you all of a sudden have garnered and took under your wing to become like you. You're not the creator, you're not the maintainer, you don't do any of that. You are there to encourage, you are there to strengthen, you are there to guide biblically in the direction that they need to go in. And that's so important, Bernadette. These are the things that many people need to recognize and understand. And see, here's where people get it all twisted, is because everybody want to be on a stage. Everybody want to be seen. Everybody want the mic. Everybody want to show off. Everybody want to show their skills. Everybody want to show their talents, because gifted people, Lord have mercy, gifted people don't need a stage, because their gift operates just as powerfully off stage as it does on stage. Oh, let's see, I just got in trouble there. I just got in trouble there. Y'all know I just got in trouble right there. Because if the only time the giftedness of God operates in your life when you have a stage or a platform to be on, you're not gifted, you're just talented. Because talented people always want to be recognized for their talents. And then if they are not placed in a position whereby they can shine, then what do? They basically become irritant. They do all of these crazy things that happen because they are not operating in their gift. But when you're gifted, you, Pat, have the sensitivity of recognizing a God moment. Oh, Jesus, Lord, help me to do this like you gave. You will recognize a God moment. You will recognize when God brings to you a supernatural encounter with someone that you may never see again in life. Angie, I wish, Vanessa, I wish somebody could catch where I'm coming from with this. Here's and it used to make me mad, and I think I talked about this all the time. On vacation, I'm on vacation. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to be bothered. I want to be with my family. I want to do everything else that need to be done. And somewhere along the line, sitting there minding my own business, here comes somebody. Used to get irritated by that. Used to get upset by that, because I'm like, Lord, don't I get a chance to go on vacation? Don't I get a chance to chill out? Don't I get a chance to relax? Don't I get a chance to enjoy myself? Ayana, don't I get a chance to do that? And the Lord said, okay, when did I take a vacation? When did I stop blessing you? When did I oh, glory to God. When did I stop providing for you? When did I stop protecting you? When God got done with me, it helps me to understand clearly that I'm still on vacation, but for that momentary time, he permits me to touch the life of somebody, to help somebody in the midst of whatever they are going through, so that they can go through. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope you get this. I hope you're getting this. Hey Lynn, how are you? I hope you're getting this. Tori, I hope you're getting this. I hope you are comprehending this, so that you can recognize that it's those momentary times that motivate you to be faithful. It's those momentary times, because being on a stage and being seen and the mic in your mouth and all that kind of stuff, that don't mean nothing, because it lasts only for a second. And I need to say something. I need to say something about those of you that get off on folk hey Lawrence, and in the midst of all of that, you got to remember, some of them folk out there lying anyway. Okay, they'll turn around and tell you all kinds of things, Tanisha. And what you fail to understand is that, and we say this all the time, only what you do for Christ will last. When you individually participate in the life of people who are struggling, and you pour into them in the midst of their struggle, that's when God knows he can use you, because he knows that you will never get the credits mixed up. Mm, 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 mm. You can never take the glory. Somebody, people say, you did something. No, the Lord did it. And see, people get upset about giving the Lord too much credit. Don't you know how to do anything? No. I only know what I know because of who's in me, how he's allowed me to learn and matriculate into certain things in certain situations. But in the midst of that, if I did not have him on my side, I wouldn't know what to do, wouldn't know where to go. Because guess what? And can I ask a question? I need to ask this question, because haven't you made a big enough mess out of your life trying to be smart and trying to be the only person who knows anything? There comes a time in your life, Sherry, where you have to understand that where I am is because of the grace of God. That's important for you to recognize and to say and to grasp. Okay, so he can only get the growth. You got to make sure that pride doesn't step in, and all of a sudden you begin to puff yourself up and to think that things can't happen without you. Oh, y'all not hearing what I'm saying. Y'all are y'all really hearing what I'm saying? This is the thing that, and sometimes it requires maturity. Sometimes it requires you to get a little older for you to recognize this clearly, that stuff's been running before you showed up, and stuff will be running after you're gone. The key is, will you be found faithful in your run, in your move, in your activity? That's what you got to also understand, okay? And you come to know him. Scripture shows that when God did something through the obedient person or people, they came to know him in new and more intimate ways. God revealed his name to Moses when he said, what am I supposed to do? What name should I give them? Because they know you by a multiplicity of names. And he turned around and said, just tell them I am that I am. And when he did that, it shook the psychological makeup of the Israelites for them to recognize that it was their God that had commissioned Moses to do so. And in the midst of that, it was a prelude for us to understand who Jesus is, because in the gospel recorded by John chapter 6 verse 35, he says, I am the bread of life. And you got to think about this. You got to think about this. In the midst of all of this, guess who feeds us? The bread of life. Now, what does that bread do? We're not talking about physical bread. What does that bread do? That bread provides nourishment and strength for you to be able to do what God has preordained for you to do. It also is the bread that enables you, Pastor Lane, for you to recognize the source of your strength. You can't never get to the point. You can't never get to the point in your life when you think. Jesus says something that's very powerful about the vine and the branches. And we need to recognize that sometime. He says, as long as you are connected to the vine, you will produce. But the moment that a disconnect takes place, the branch dies. Now catch this. The vine does not die, but the branch dies. And we cannot afford to find ourselves in a position where we have cut ourselves off from the supply of God, the grace of God, the mercy of God, the direction of God, even the correction of God. We got to understand that very clearly. He is my life. He gives me what I need. And can we talk about this for just a moment? Have there not ever been a moment in your life when you said, that's it, the load is too heavy, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to handle this, I'm losing my mind, I'm snotting and crying all over the place, and everything is falling apart, and then all of a sudden he renews you, all of a sudden he refurbishes you, he refreshes you, he gives you, Wendy, a greater determination to press on where even the day before you was pressed out. And so in the midst of all of this, this is what happens. The gospel recorded by John chapter 6 verse 35, that's where he talks about he is the bread of life. But then we also got to look at something else, because the more intimate surely we become with him, the more close we become to him, the more we recognize what he's doing, the more we recognize who he is. In the Gospel of John chapter 8 verse 12, he says, I'm the light of the world. He says, you got to remember, we were born in sin, shaped in iniquity. We were born in darkness. And can I say something? We loved darkness outside of Jesus Christ. Now, somebody might say, well, I beg to differ with you. Can I talk to you for just a moment? I'm not going to keep you much longer, but can I talk to you for just a moment? I need to ask a question. That's what I need to do. I need to ask a question. When we were in sin, and whenever we went clubbing or went to the bar or went to the house party or whatever the case may be, can I ask a question? Was it well lit? If you go into a bar now, is it well lit? Your eyes have to adjust when you go in because it's darker. When you come out, your eyes have to adjust to the light. I hope you catch this for just a second. I want you to catch this if you don't catch anything else. When we were in sin, we embraced darkness because we felt that being in the dark could cloak what we were doing. It would cloak it. It would hide it. And that's the reason why everything was so dark. But when you come out of darkness, you no longer want to embrace what is dark. You want to be in the light. Because you know what? Have you ever done this? And I pride myself in this. I really do. I pride myself in knowing every place in the house. I pride myself in it, because I need to know where everything is. I know where the dresser, I know where the bed, I know where the chairs, I know where all of that is. And so at night, sometimes you don't want to cut on lights, you don't want to do anything, and in your mind, you think you've got the map down pat until you stump your toe on something that you forgot was there, or uh, you misappropriated the distance. And so that's why being in darkness is so dangerous, because being in darkness, you can sometimes misappropriate steps or misstep or not really realize you might be a little closer to something than what you actually thought you were. And that's where the light of the world becomes significant, because here's what he does. He illuminates your path. He shines his light so that you can see what's there, so you can see how to navigate, how to move, and all of that. And when you come in the Lord, why do you want to be in darkness anyway? Why do you want to be a part of that situation? And so we see quite clearly that when you come to the Lord, we now need him to shine the light. We need him to shine the light in our homes, in our families, in our churches, on our jobs. We really need the light of Jesus Christ, Pastor Gray. We need the light of Jesus Christ in the midst of this pandemic moment. We need the light of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to shine in such a way that we will not stumble in the darkness. And I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. This is the problem with the pandemic moment. This is the problem with people who don't want to wear masks. This is the problem where we talk about, you're trying to take away my rights and my liberties. No, I'm trying to keep you here. I said this to our congregation because, they were kind of wondering, well, when are we going back in the building? I said, no time soon. When are we going to do it? No time soon. After you have buried enough people who have suffered through this, you become a little wiser. I ain't no shade on nobody else. You can open your church and do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. I ain't mad at nobody. Listen to what I'm saying. But sometimes the experiences of seeing the heartache, of seeing the suffering that people go through will give you the wisdom to wait. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And so in the midst of all of this, if we would just see the light of Jesus Christ, then things would change and things would be 100% totally different. Okay, you'll break your toe stomping into stuff, Pastor Gray. I'm trying to get us to get this so we can understand it. And then he also says he's the door in the gospel recorded by John, chapter 10 verse 9. I don't know about anybody else, but I have seen God open doors that I didn't even know were there. Can I talk to about 8 or 9 people? And so he's the door that we need. He's the door that we need to be able to walk through. He's the door. When everything else seems to be against you, Minister Walker, he's the door. Have you ever found yourself with your back up against the wall, didn't know how you were going to make it, didn't know if you could do it, but just about at the point of losing your mind, and all of a sudden a door opens up and you're able to walk through it? Why? Because he's the door that rescues. He's the door that revives. He's the door that rejuvenates. He does all of these things. But there's something else that I need us to get, because every now and then I need God to be good to me. Do I have about 8 or 9 people out there? He said in the gospel recorded by John chapter 10 verse 11, he's the good shepherd. He's the good shepherd, Stephanie. He's the good shepherd. Now you have to understand. You have to understand. You have to understand what a shepherd is, because the Bible is overwhelmingly clear that there's a difference between a hireling and a shepherd. A hireling, he'll stand on the wall, look on the wall, be up on the hill or whatever. But when danger comes, hirelings have a different mentality toward their own livelihood and their own self-preservation than a shepherd actually has. I know I wasn't supposed to do that, but I'm getting excited about this. And so in the midst of this, a hireling When they see danger coming out, they ain't got no problem fighting one-on-one. They don't have no problem with that. They can handle that. But when it looks like the enemy is outnumbering them, they take off. They disappear. They're out of here. But a shepherd will fight to the end. A shepherd will defend the sheep. And not only is he a shepherd, he's a good shepherd. Do you know how many times that God, through Jesus Christ, has had to go to bat on my behalf? Do you know how many times that God has been the shepherd of my soul? Do you know how many times that God has been there when the enemy came in like a flood? He raised up a standard against it. Do you know how many times in the midst of everything that's been going on in my life, he has proven himself to be better than better, as grandmama said, gooder than gooder? Have you? I just wish I had about 5 or 6 people that understands clearly he's a good shepherd. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that his sheep are protected. And that's what we got to recognize. That's what we got to understand. That's what we've got to embrace. He's good. Even when what he needs to do may not feel good to you, it's still good for you. And you got to recognize that. You got to see that. You got to comprehend that. And when you know that he loves you, when you know that he cares for you, when you know that he will be there for you every step of the way, Nala, here's what happens. You relinquish your suspicions. You relinquish your being in control. You relinquish always trying to have everything the way you want it to be, and you'll recognize and understand that he knows what's best for you. It's just like a good parent. It's just like a good parent. A good parent will do whatever is necessary to preserve the integrity and the life of their child. I wish I had Trina. I wish I had a couple people who understood, Pastor Paramore, exactly where I'm coming from with this. A good parent will not only instruct the child, but a good parent will also protect the child. A good parent will make decisions that the child doesn't like. And when our children were growing up, we made decisions that didn't make sense. When I was growing up, my parents made decisions that didn't make sense. I didn't think it was fair. I didn't think it was right that I had to be in the house by a certain time. My children didn't think it was fair. They didn't think it was right that they had to be in the house by a certain time. I didn't think it was fair that I had to tell my parents where I was going. But if I wanted to go somewhere, that's what I had to do. My kids didn't think it was fair that we required of them to let us know where they are, just in case something happens or go wrong. I can lay my hands on them and know exactly where they are. It is my job as a parent, a good parent, to protect our children, and so is he. There are some times when he says no. There are some times when he said, that's not where I want you to go. There are some times when he said, you know better than this. There are some times even when a whooping shows up. But guess what? If he didn't love you, he wouldn't chastise you. I know y'all don't, because we all want the flowery fluff stuff. We want to be able to embrace all of those things. But guess what? It was good that I was afflicted. Oh my God, don't make me shout off my deck. And so every now and then, Cecile, an affliction has to come. Every now and then something has to happen to bring us back into our right minds. Rolina, this is how God operates, because he's a good shepherd. And can I tell you something else? He really don't get bent out of shape over how you feel about it. He really doesn't get tore up over the fact that you get an attitude or you get bent out of shape. You can walk away, Vanessa. You can have an attitude. You can be mad. You can do whatever you want to do. But guess what? All roads lead to Rome. Every time you say, I'm going to do what I want to do, every time you say, I'm going to have my own way, guess what? God gets in the midst of your way and pulls it back toward him. He'll place you in a position, Pat, that there's nobody but him. He'll place you in some circumstances where there's nobody but him. Why? Because he's the good shepherd. And then in John chapter 11, verse 25, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Guess what that does for me? It gives me the assurance that when this part of life is over, Nancy, I got life eternal. I ain't got to worry about it. I ain't got to beg about it. I ain't got to sit back and get bent out of shape wondering whether I got it or not. It has been guaranteed. It's been guaranteed to take place, okay? He's the resurrection. And guess what? The reason that I'm enjoying life is because his life is operating through me. I wish I had a couple people, Pastor Paramore, that can catch where I'm coming from with this. Man, I got joy. Matter of fact, sometimes the joy I have is scary. And maybe nobody else has ever been in this position. Maybe nobody else has ever gone through this. But sometimes I'm so happy. Now, Willie, here's what we got to understand. Sometimes these moments come when ain't nothing going right. Sometimes these overwhelmingly joyous moments come when the bottom has dropped out. Sometimes these moments come when I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden I just get happy, I get elated, I get excited, and I'm sitting up here scratching my head like, why are you so happy right now? You don't have this isn't falling in line, this is not going right. And the amazing thing about it, Lisa, the amazing thing about it, Denise, is that I'm still okay in deficient moments. I'm all right. I'm okay when things go wrong. I'm okay when the bottom falls out. I'm okay when I don't have enough money. I'm okay when I don't know what to do. I'm okay when I'm at a point and a crossroads in my life. I'm okay. And the reason I'm all right is because in him I'm alive. In him I have joy. In him I have strength. In him I have everything that I need. And so he's the resurrection and the life. I know without a shadow of a doubt that his joy is my strength. His joy is my strength. And see, sometimes you can't put a good song on. Sometimes you can't get into worship mode. Sometimes you can't even lift your hands, and all of a sudden God will step up in there and he will bring like lightning bolts of life into you, to the point that now I want you to yeah, Myrna, it is scary sometimes. It's not that anything changed. Did you catch that? But my disposition toward it changed. Sometimes the deficit is still there. Willie, sometimes the problem is still there. Sean, sometimes the situation is still there. Elder Carter, sometimes the solution is not there. But God interjects his power in your life in such a way that it's all right. You can go to bed in peace. Cecile, you can go to bed in joy. Linda, you can go to bed happy. Laverne, you can go to bed, and everything is just fine, even when it's not just fine. So he's the resurrection and the life. But guess what? In John chapter 14, verse 6, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now this gets a little sticky here. This gets a little sticky. So hopefully I'll be able to get through this. He says he's the way. As a matter of fact, before at Antioch, when the church was known as the church, it was known as the way. And so Jesus wants us to know that he is the way. Well, you know what? I'm an intelligent person. I'm an educated person. I can figure some stuff up. I know two and two is four. I understand those things completely. Why do I need somebody to show me the way? I can engineer my way through those things. I can navigate through some stuff. I'm not the dullest bulb in the package. I have some intellect. I have some ingenuity. I have some capabilities about myself. Well, I tell people this all the time. I tell especially those people who paint with a broad brush. Like, one person done jacked you up, so everybody done jacked you up. One person has used you, and so everybody else done used you. And so we paint with a broad brush. And what many people fail to understand is that one experience is not applicable to everybody else. What am I trying to say? In order for me now in Christ to live the way the Lord wants me to live, I need guidance. Let me help you. Let me help you. Can I help y'all with this, Stephen? Hey, Steve, how you doing? That's my nephew. Can I help you with this for just? Can I help you with this for just a second? Because I need you to get this. How many of you went on a job for the first time and knew how to do the job? I'm gonna wait on you, Eugene. How many of you? How many of you went on the job? You got hired to do the job, got on the job, and did the job without any help whatsoever. If that's you, then you're a genius. For everybody else, they normally put someone with you who knows the way. Oh God, who knows how to do the job, to show you the basic fundamentals of the job. Then it becomes your responsibility, Lisa, to enhance what they've instructed you to do. Oh, bless his name. And the reason you need him to show you the way is because, first of all, he's the creator of everything that is. He is the sustainer of everything that is. He's the renewer of everything that is, which means what? There is not one moment in life, in our lives, that sneaks up on God. There is not one situation that he has not already seen. There's not one circumstance that he has not brought people through. I want you to understand this clearly, Barbara. And so since he knows more than us, we need him to coach us, to guide us, to show us that our ways are not his ways and our thoughts are not his thoughts. I hope you caught that. I hope you caught that. I hope you caught that on this evening. And so in the midst of this, here's what I need God to do. I need him to show me the way. And I need to add one more thing to this in the midst of what I'm trying to get you to understand. My ways are not always clear. My ways are not always successful. My ways, Robert, are not always fruitful. Because the truth of the matter is, if I really do a litmus test on my ways, I don't really have a good track record on my ways. I don't really have Iris. I don't have that. And so since I don't have, see, and I'm gonna tell you why it's difficult for people to do what I just did, is because there are too many people who actually believe that the sun rises and sets on them and that they know more than anybody else. But what you fail to understand, none of us know everything, okay? Alicia, none of us know none of us, not one of us, Willa, not one of us knows everything, because first of all, we ain't been out long enough to know everything. And so I need guidance. So that's all I'm trying to get you to understand. He is the way, then he's the truth. That's a whole different situation right there, because for the most part, and I know I might get in trouble when I say this, most folk don't want to embrace the truth, Evelyn. Most people don't like truth. They don't like truth. So what do? They fabricate, Wendy. They come up with all kind of scenarios that God's not in. They do all kinds of things because sometimes, well, a lot of times the truth hurts, because the truth prepares you for greater things. And if you're not able to grasp the truth, if you're not able to know what truth is, then I doubt seriously that God is actually using you in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I hope you catch that, Shirley, because this is important for us to see, Myrna. I need truth. I need true. Only truth sets free. Only only see anything outside of truth is bondage. Okay, somebody might say, well, Minister Faye. Somebody might say, well, oh, yeah, well, that's. I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you a scenario. Let's let's talk about a liar. Let's talk about somebody who tells lies. Let's talk. I didn't say anything about any of y'all. I just said let's talk about a liar. There's a lot of bondage in being a liar. There's a lot of bondage in being a liar, and somebody might say, well, what kind of bondage are you talking about? Well, first of all, it's hard to keep track because see, a liar don't just lie to one person. A liar lies to everybody. Okay, y'all will catch that later. Angela, y'all will catch that later. A liar lies to everybody. I want you to think about that. I have some people that I used to hang around with, and man, Thea, I mean, they would spin them. And when they got done saying what they said, you would have thought that they was on the right hand of the Father. I mean, they Sharon, they knew everything. They knew everybody. They knew all of these other things, Serena, that were happening, and they would tell you this, and they would tell you that, and they would tell you all other kind of things. And when they got done, you'd be like, man, you got it going on. You done met this person. You done been around here. You've experienced this. You've gone through that. And then all of a sudden you run into somebody who knows the truth. And then all of a sudden you begin to talk about the truth. And the next thing, Evelyn, uh, wait a minute. Yeah. And so you come back to them and you say, well, I thought you said so. Oh, no, that's not what. Oh, yes, that is. See, it's bondage, Wendy, because it's too hard, Pastor Lane, to keep up with them lies. It's too hard to do. It's too hard to keep manipulating people and to do all of those kind of things. But truth sets you free because you ain't going to forget the truth. Oh, bless his name. You're not going to forget the truth. It's them lies. It's all of that other stuff, Minister Marcia, that we do in our lives. And now how you going to keep track of them? Because somebody going to come. You're going to get a bunch of folk at the same time. You done told the same lie to a different way. And they're going to ask you, now tell us about that again. And you're going to sit there sweating bullets. Why? Because you don't know what to do. I'd rather be free. Yes, the truth hurts. Yes, the truth stings. Yes, the truth, we don't want to embrace it. Yes, the truth is difficult to handle sometimes, Valerie. Yes, the truth sometimes is overwhelming. But when the truth gets done, the weight of what you've experienced will lift because of the truth. And then he says, I'm the true vine in the gospel recorded by John chapter 15, verse 1. The true vine. He's who you need to be attached to. He's the one that you need to put your trust in. He's the one that you need to say, without him, I can do nothing. And guess how, and Angela, guess how you get this? Reading the Bible, yes. Praying, yes. But you get this by walking with him. You get this by sitting at his feet and letting him bless you through prayer and word. That's how you get this by going through experiences in life and making some mistakes and recognizing that God is there to pick you up. You get this because of who he is and because of how he is blessing you over and over again. Jesus continually identifies himself as the I am. I am everything you need. I am everything you've ever wanted. I am the source of your supply. I am everything. And when you begin to walk with him and you begin to really take note of the fact that God is operating in your life, even when you don't know, Sean, that he is, transforms your life. That's as far as I'm going for tonight. That's all I want to talk about for tonight. And then when we get together next week, I'm gonna share a few more things with you, Denise, so that Minister Marcia and Lisa and Minister Faye and all of you, we will be able to go just a little bit deeper, because there are some people, and we're seeing this very clearly in society now, that believe that they can be close to God and don't go to church. They don't need the fellowship. They don't need the camaraderie. They don't need that. And so we're going to deal with that. We're going to look at that, because the Bible says that we ought not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together. There must be a common thread of participation in collective activity in growing in the knowledge of the Lord. Listen, I pray that you take care of yourself. Let me talk to you, Pat, for just a second. Let me talk to you, Thea and Laverne and Lavernon, and all of you that are on the website or on YouTube, along with everyone who is on Facebook and the Facebook pages. Let me share something with you, and it's and I'm going back to it again. Please stay safe. I go into stores, folk not wearing masks. I'm Dayton just their mayor just mandated masks. People are gonna get mad, man. They're gonna be mean and hateful and evil. But guess what? Get over it. Shameless plug, Lavernon is doing a wonderful job with those masks. Other people are doing great work with those masks. The disposable masks are becoming more readily available. Get you some sanitizer so that you can you clean them doorknobs, clean all of that stuff so that you can stay here. That's all I want you to do. If you can do that, everything will be all right. Listen, love you. Love each and every one of you. Cynthia Thomas and Deacon Thomas and Sean and Michelle and Sharon and Barbara, Laverne and Katrina, Pat, Jacqueline, all of you, Angela, that took time out of your schedules, Denise, to be a part of Cora, this experience, Gladys. Let me say how grateful I am. How grateful I am that you gave me this time to allow me to pour into you. Dee and Tyrone and several others, thank you. Lady Harrison, thank you. Thank you, Nancy, thank you. Thank you so much. And in the midst of these pandemic moments, there ought to be gratefulness. I might not have all I want, but I got all I need. I'm grateful. I might not be in the most tip-top, perfect physical condition, but I'm not in the hospital. I'm not on a respirator. I'm grateful. And so I need to say this, love you, each and every one of you. Please take care of yourself. May God bless you, and may He keep you, is our prayer.